Good afternoon from Cape Town. Good morning in Colorado. Shannon, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Sean. I appreciate it.
So this series, hosted by World Tourism Forum Lucerne, focuses on the symbiotic relationship between biodiversity and tourism. Now, I understand you are CEO of the Adventure Travel Trade Association, and biodiversity is pretty much your lifeblood.
That's right. It is. You hit the nail on the head, and this is why I'm doing this interview out in the wilderness in Colorado too.
So can you tell me a little bit, what percentage of your business model depends on nature as Adventure Travel Association and across your membership?
Yeah, the whole concept and definition of adventure travel as we see it is the intersection of nature, culture, and physical activities. So it really is one of the three pillars that holds up the stool of adventure travel. So it's incredibly important.
So as an association, I know you've also launched your own conservation fund. You invest a lot in awareness, education, and self-regulation, if I can call it that. So maybe first tell me a little bit about your role as an association.
Sure. So we really exist to bring the community together of adventure travel professionals or those who are interested in adventure travel in the broadest sense. So ecotourism, wildlife, nature, cultural, these all fit into the umbrella of adventure travel. Our goal and role really is to be a convener, to bring people together, not only so that they can do business, but that so we can have more impact on a greater scale on conservation issues, for example.
So when you look at the industry and you look at government, where do you see the most leadership coming from, and where do you see the green shoots?
You know, it kind of depends. There's signs of life everywhere. It kind of depends on the local or the governmental champion. It always takes a champion to decide to put conservation policies in the forefront, because it is a long-term decision. And, you know, that sometimes is difficult for governments that have short cycles where people cycle through quickly in some situations. So we look for champions who have been at it for a while and seem to have a strong understanding. So we see signs of life everywhere, from Brazil to Japan to Mexico, and we get to see a lot of these based on our work in the Adventure Travel Conservation Fund.
So look, I think the travel and tourism industry in general, and in particular adventure tourism, came pretty much to a standstill due to COVID-19. How did it impact your industry and also the communities?
It's been very, very difficult. You know, if you are involved in outbound tourism in any way, if whether you're outbound or inbound versus domestic, it's been devastating. And so in some cases we've seen a full standstill. In other cases, people are figuring out how to pivot and do some domestic offerings, but that doesn't always work depending on the destination. And so everything is underfunded right now, and that includes conservation. And so we've seen from our members, we've heard incidents of increased poaching. So there's some real problems that are caused by the full halt of the economic engine.
And are you seeing governments take this seriously?
Yeah, some have definitely, and some are interestingly still investing in carbon and climate action. So there are a lot of different destinations, like different states in all around Latin America. But to be honest, right now, 90% of the conversation is just about recovering businesses after COVID. So most of the action is light, but it's mostly talk about the future, to be honest.
Would I be correct that if I say that adventure travel lends itself probably slightly better to the Generation C traveler, the post-COVID traveler looking for that great outdoors?
Sorry, you cut out a little bit there, Sean. Could you repeat that?
The question is, call it the Generation C traveler, the post-COVID traveler, looking for social distancing, but also more meaningful connections to places, to nature, to culture. Do you see an opportunity in that for the industry subsector that you represent?
For sure. all the signs are that adventure travel is going to come back early and strong. We did a study with Euromonitor, and they found that the adventure travel market will recover around 2 to 3 years earlier than the general travel market. And I think it's specifically because of those things you just mentioned: open air, small group, nature, usually a known group that you're traveling with. These are all things that have been hallmarks of adventure travel. So, and then I'm anecdotally hearing it too from tourism ministers. We got a quote from the Vice Secretary of Tourism for Colombia yesterday, saying that adventure tourism was positioned for a strong rebound. So I do feel like, even though things are devastated right now, we've got a bright future. It's about getting to the other side of this big gap.
You have your annual event next year, September. Are you planning a physical event or a hybrid event?
Our event next year will be a hybrid event. We hope that the in-person will work by next fall. That's the goal. But we've held our breath before this year, and so far it's been pretty tough because all the physical events have been shut off. So we've been doing virtual events, which it's good. It keeps the community together, but certainly we miss seeing each other in person. Tourism is a human business. People-to-people
connections.
Absolutely.
Shannon, thank you so much for your role as an industry association, focusing on the recovery, and also making sure that when we're back in business, we've reset that relationship between tourism, nature, and communities.
Absolutely. My pleasure to be here, Sean, and hopefully we'll see you in person in the near future.
Thank you.
Thank you.